Good evening, and welcome to Totalitarian Islam's Threat to the West. My name is Arthur Lechtholtze, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Logic. Logic is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, but more loosely speaking, we're UCLA's objectivist club. And the purpose of our club is to spread the use of reason in all facets of philosophy, and to do that, we study and promote Ayn Rand's philosophy, objectivism. Now, we are affiliated with the Ayn Rand Institute, which is based in Irvine. They provide us with a lot of support by helping us to procure speakers for events, as well as literature, and helping us to come up with study guides for club meetings. And in fact, our next event is going to be on May 1st. It is going to be entitled, Immigration, Let Them In or Keep Them Out. It will be a debate between Dr. Yaron Brook and Mr. Carl Braun, the Executive Director of the Minuteman Civil Defense Corps of California. That will be at 7 o'clock in Ackerman Grand Ballroom. You can find a flyer for that outside with the rest of the literature. Speaking of literature, we have lots of free materials for you to enjoy, so please feel free to take a look at whatever you like, and you can take whatever you'd like. And, well, maybe not anything you'd like, but in any case, if you enjoy programs like this, and particularly this event, please consider becoming a financial contributor by seeing either me or any other staff member at the conclusion of the event. And now I'd like to say a few words about the rules for our event tonight. As you can imagine, this is somewhat of a volatile topic, and emotions can run high. But we ask that you please remain respectful, clap when you think it's appropriate, but do not boo or jeer. We're not going to be tolerant at all of any sort of protests, and any sort of disruption will be met with police protection. Now I'll introduce Dr. Edwin Locke, who is our moderator. Dr. Locke is a Dean's Professor Emeritus of Leadership and Motivation at the Robert H. Smith School of Business at the University of Maryland. He is internationally known for his research and writing on human motivation, leadership, and related topics, including application of objectivism to psychology and management. Without further ado, Dr. Edwin Locke.
Thank you. From the Iranian hostage crisis to September 11th, to the London subway attacks, to the Iraqi insurgency, it's clear the West faces a grave threat from a committed enemy. Conventional wisdom holds that the enemy is a rogue group of fanatics who have hijacked a great religion in order to justify their crimes. It tells us there is no way to permanently eliminate these violent groups, that we have entered an age of terror, and that we must give up the desire for a decisive victory. But is the conventional wisdom right? A distinguished panel of Middle East experts will provide new and illuminating answers to the most important questions of our time. Is the West ready to concede victory so easily? Are the terrorists a fringe group of fanatics, or are they part of a much wider ideological movement? What threat do they pose to the West? What can the West do to ensure victory? Is peace possible? While the experts will answer these complex questions from diverse viewpoints, they all agree on one thing. Islamic totalitarianism is a real threat, and the right response necessitates engaging in a principled ideological battle to defend the West from the jihad declared against it. Let me now introduce our three panelists. On the far right, Dr. Yaron Brook is Executive Director of the Ayn Rand Institute and a recognized Middle East expert who has written and lectured on a variety of Mideast issues. Dr. Brook has served in the Israeli army and has discussed the Israeli-Arab conflict and the war on Islam, on Islamic totalitarianism on hundreds of radio and TV programs, including Fox News, on Fox News, The O'Reilly Factor, Your World with Neil Cavito, At Large with Geraldo Rivera. Also on CNN's Talkback Live, CNBC's Closing Bell, and On the Money, and C-SPAN panel of experts on terrorism. Next to Dr. Brook is Dr. Wafa Sultan, a secular Syrian-American writer and thinker. Dr. Sultan is known for her participation in Middle East political debates and widely circulated Arab essays and television appearances on Al Jazeera. on CNN and Fox News. Dr. Sultan was shocked into secularism by the atrocities committed against innocent Syrian people by the Muslim Brotherhood in 1979, including the machine gun assassination of a professor in front of her eyes at the University of Aleppo, where she was a medical student. On February 22, 2006, she appeared on Al Jazeera, where she scolded Muslims for treating non-Muslims differently and for not acknowledging the accomplishments of non-Muslim societies, including their greater freedom, their capacity for producing wealth, and their technology. She named the Islamic threat to the West as a battle between modernity and barbarism, which Islam will lose. A video of her appearance, widely circulated on the web and throughout emails, has been viewed by an estimated 12 million people. Her outspokenness has brought her both threats and praise. Dr. Sultan is currently working on a book to be called The Escaped Prisoner: When God is a Monster. Directly to my right is Dr. Daniel Pipes, director of the Mideast Forum. He taught history at the University of Chicago and at Harvard University and lectured on policy and strategy at the Naval War College. He currently teaches at Pepperdine University and is author of 12 books and numerous articles. He is a columnist for the New York Sun, and he appears weekly on Israel's Jerusalem Post, Italy's L'Opinion, Spain's La Razón, and monthly in the Australian and Canada's Globe and Mail. His website, danielpipes.org, is among the most accessed internet sources of specialized information on the Middle East and Islam. Mr. Pipes has appeared on ABC World News, CBS Reports, Crossfire, Good Morning America, NewsHour with Jim Lehrer, Nightline, The O'Reilly Factor, The Today Show, the BBC, and Al Jazeera. So, once again, to remind you of the rules, disruptions will not be tolerated. If you try it, you'll be escorted from the room. You will have a chance to ask questions at the end. The questions can be oral or in writing. People will be going back and forth down the aisles with 3x5 cards. You can raise your hand and get a card if you'd rather submit a written question, and that will occur after the speakers. So we're going to start with a 4-minute opening statement from each panelist. So let's start in the far right, in the same order I read out their credentials, with Dr. Yaron Brook.
Thank you, Dr. Locke. And I'd like to thank you, CLA, and the Logic Group for putting this event on. Totalitarian Islam's threat to the West. Well, what is totalitarian Islam? It is a movement within Islam dedicated to a totalitarian ideology, dedicated to enslaving its own people under Sharia law, and ultimately, once it can do that to its own people, it is dedicated to spreading that ideology, spreading that subjugation, spreading that slavery to the rest of the world. It takes on many forms in terms of how it intends to take political control. Some in the totalitarian movement advocate